All right, guys, this week's topic, we're going to talk about
Comping properties.
Comping properties. Yeah. So this is something that I struggled with pretty heavily when I first started. And I will say it is a reps thing. I mean, Tyler, how many times do you think you've comped a property?
Oh, I mean, I comp I would say 35 properties a day. I mean, I did way more than that before I got comfortable and started doing it in a timely manner. You really got to understand what you're looking for when comping properties, because not everything's a comp. If you could find a property that is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and you're trying to comp a property, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square foot home is not a comp to a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,300 square foot home.
Yeah, so I guess let's break it down. So comp means shoot. I hope it means comparable. Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah. Somebody's gonna probably light me up. I remember it was real estate has a lot of acronyms. So ADU. Do you know what ADU stands for?
No.
Accessory dwelling unit.
Wouldn't have got that.
I thought it meant additional dwelling unit. So I'm out here meeting with people, talking. I'm like, oh yeah, it has an additional dwelling unit ADU in the back, and they're like, it's accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, well, so, is there really a difference? When you're talking about that, is it not the same thing?
I think people like to use acronyms to sound smart a lot of times. Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's about
those people.
It's about saving time, but you know, we can take it slow sometimes. But there's a lingo that goes along with real estate, I will say, and once you kind of pick that up, it's not hard. But yeah, we're talking about comps. So we're looking at comparable properties that are in the area. So why are we using comps? Well, we're using comps to look at a property we're trying to purchase.
Right.
So we're looking at this property. Let's just say it's here locally and it's in the middle of a nice established neighborhood. All the houses are probably, 3 or 4 bedrooms. That's a really easy neighborhood to comp.
Right.
Something that has pretty stable, has a lot of houses.
Agreed.
They've been, you also want to look at when houses have been sold in that neighborhood.
Exactly. So that all plays big parts into it. I like looking at least 90 days out. I don't really go any farther than 6 months out for residential single family homes. And also if you're in an area that's pretty rural, or there's not the market's not hot in that area, homes aren't selling, they're sitting for a while, you can't find comps. It's tough, but maybe that's just not a market that you want to be in. We really like targeting areas. What I look at is how many homes have sold in this small little 2-mile radius of where we're trying to find these properties. If you see a lot of homes that are selling and stuff, then that's a market you want to be in. That's a property that we're going to get more information on. We're going to take comparables on. We're going to work that property and follow up with the sellers. I think if it was a more rural area and I look at this property and I don't see a lot of homes that have sold recently, it's kind of hard to get a comp. I just think that it's not really for us. It's not a property for us just because of the area and the stagnancy of the market.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a lot more right now, the change in the market. And this is when we post this video, it's going to be, December of 2022. And if you're looking back on this, December 2022 is, we're struggling as far as real estate professionals are. If you can't pivot at this time, people are kind of getting caught. Luckily, I looked at our business with our partners and we just decided months ago that we weren't going to flip. Right. We made a decision probably 4 months ago when we saw the data, and one of our flips was sitting longer than it had the rest of 2021.
Exactly.
Beginning of 2022, we said no more flips. And I'm happy with that decision right now. We're not stuck with one.
Should be a converstion for
another
video, right? We're getting off topic on talking about comps. This is what the video is supposed to be about. And when comping properties, it's real important to a single family home. You need to find another single family home to comp. You can't take a 2-story home and comp it with a single-story home. It's just not a comp. Same for a pool in the backyard.
I think you meant to say like a single family and a multifamily, because we do comp.
I'm talking about stories of a house. I don't like taking a 2-story house and saying it's a comp to a single-story house.
Interesting.
Something I keep in mind. I might not completely throw it out, but it's not a 100% lock-in comp.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Luckily, a lot of these neighborhoods are pretty similar. So for the most part, you'll have single story ranches. Those are kind of built, 50s,
Yeah.
50, 60 builds. All the neighborhoods around here are kind of around that time. And then you'll have a lot of these 2-story track build vinyl houses. Those are the new things that are coming out.
True.
Not much character, but we love them all the same.
Yeah.
I'll probably disagree a little bit on the first floor, second floor, 2-story thing. I think the main thing is bedroom count is number one, bathroom count, and then square foot. So you're looking at square foot. You can get 100, 200 square foot off, and you're close, but you can always just divide that out and find out exactly how many.
So this is a little off topic, but would you say the number of beds increases the value of a home more than, say, the number of baths the home has?
Absolutely. So if I can go from, there's big jumps and then you kind of have diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So the jump from we don't have many studios or many 1-bedroom homes here, but if you're going from a 2-bed to a 3-bed, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
And then a 3 to a 4 is a pretty big jump. After that, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're 5, 6 beds, and your return on your investment for adding that many more beds isn't going to come, because most families, especially nowadays in this world, we're having 1, 2 kids. I know, as things have gotten tough, families have moved in together.
Right.
But for the most part, you're having 3, 4 bedroom families. So that's after that 4th bedroom, things kind of drop off. But to answer about the bathroom count, if you only have 1 bathroom, that's tough.
Yeah.
So if you're a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, that's all right. But if you get 3 bed, 1 bath, people don't want to share bathrooms anymore, and I don't think that people ever really did want to share bathrooms.
No, I didn't like doing it when I was in college, especially when I'm at my own place, right? I don't want to share a bathroom with really anybody.
That's how I was raised. I had living in a 3-bed tiny little house, and we had 1 bathroom. We all shared 1 sink, and so that's tough.
Yeah.
Getting home from a hibachi restaurant, there's only one bathroom. So, but
that's a bad image. I don't want to get that in my head. But let's talk about comping again. What are the main websites? Like, where do you go to find your comps?
Yeah, so we can start. A lot of people are going to have MLS access. So realtors and agents out there,
which is important. You need to figure out how to get that if you don't have it already.
Oh yeah, so that's we'll talk about that some other time. But basically, you're going to want to. You can get MLS access. That's going to be your most accurate way to comp properties, because that is everything. Every sale is going to be there. Every state is going to have those available on the MLS. Some states don't report to other, like Zillow, or Redfin. Those you can search comps in certain states, but some states they don't report the sales the way they do on the MLS. So you can get yourself in a situation where if you don't have MLS access, you can't really comp many properties. Personally, our company currently doesn't have any licensed agents on it. It's just a choice we made to be able to operate the way that we operate. I'd be happy to go on that later, but we do plan on bringing an agent on board and having them completely in-house. But right now, we just give most of our referrals to agents. Anything that needs to be listed on market, we just give those away. But yeah, so start there, MLS, and then number 2 is just good old Zillow. I mean, you don't have to have all of these big fancy tools to make it. I think that's a misconception. There's actually another little term. It's called analysis paralysis. And that's where when you're new, you're just in the trenches trying to figure stuff out. And I mean, it'll take some people years, and they'll never jump in.
Yeah.
They'll think they have to do research, get an LLC, do all these things. But I mean, what do you think, Tyler? What do you think I would say about analysis paralysis?
I mean, I don't know. I want to say one thing about like the fear thing about when you start comping properties and people think it's there's so much more to it than how basic it is. Once you understand the demographics of what you're looking for when comping a property, it can happen within 2 to 3 minutes of your time to comp a property. So I think the biggest thing is don't think that you need all this equipment or this money or this information at your disposal. You literally can use Zillow, and I can find out an ARV for your property. I can comp a property with Zillow.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of very, very professional brokers and agents that I work alongside for not within our business, but partnering with them, and a lot of times we get pretty comparable comps because the markets that I choose to be in, we're good at. We're damn good at these markets. Right. So I've comped the same property 100 times. The amount of times I've comped a 2,000 square foot.
Here in Charleston.
2,000 square foot is easy money. Another thing I will say before I go off on another tangent here is I don't search by radius as far as when you're looking at comps. I will literally go on Zillow and I will draw with my finger around an entire neighborhood.
Right.
Because one neighborhood's not the same as the neighborhood across the street.
No.
You got to think about what is around those properties. Is it actually comparable to another property? Because I bought a property right on a main road. One of our good friends, if he watches this, he's going to know what property I'm talking about. But it's on Liberty Hall Road.
Yeah.
It is a super busy road, and it's tough to comp that specific property. It's a great property. I love the outcome of that one, but I can't compare that property to a property in a neighborhood with a lot of confidence. I mean, an appraiser might comp that, and maybe you'll be able to get your refi value. But when I'm looking at if I want to sell this property, it's going to be tough to sell something on a main road compared to in a nice, quaint little neighborhood.
I gotcha.
So what I'll do is, just like I said, if I'm looking at that neighborhood, I circle the entire neighborhood. If there's water, those waterfront properties most of the time are going to be worth a lot more.
Oh yeah.
So you might have a 3.2 around the water that's worth 1.2, but you go in one or two rows and now you're at 500, 600,000.
Exactly. Well, I think you told me when I was first starting out, we were comping a property down at the beach, and you were like, it's real important to figure out how many rows back from the beach it is.
That's
and you don't want to circle that whole area like we usually do in a neighborhood. You want to circle that row. You want to get properties that are in that exact row because, like you were saying, the property on 2nd Street is not as much as the property on 5th Street, and it's definitely not as much as the property on 1st Street.
Yeah.
So comping, especially on the beach areas, you really want to make sure you're just in that individual row the house is on to get it.
Yeah, because when you're getting into that type of real estate, front row real estate is in our market, $5 million. Yeah. And then you go one row back, it's going to drop $1 or $2 million off, and then your 3rd row real estate, your price, you can be in the $1 million price point. I mean, obviously there's tons of variations in properties on our beaches out here, but that's something that is very, very hyper focused, and that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because if you look at just normal neighborhoods, you might have the highway going right beside it. Nobody wants to be right next to the highway. Or if you have, one neighborhood that looks like it's all the same, and then there's a dividing line, and you can see these from the air. You literally go on the satellite view and then find all the streets and then circle that. I think that's why I did that.
I think it is too. And then what would you say like the top 5 things when you're comping a property? I guess to elaborate on that, like the five, not 5 tools, but 5 things that are important to keep in mind when you're comping. Like, what's the difference of the square footage? Like, are you gonna take a 1,000 square foot home and comp it to a 1,600 square foot home, or how far up do you go there? Like the 5 things you think about when comping. Like, don't cross any major roads.
Yeah.
2 miles, 3 miles away. Like, what are some of those things that you think about when comping a property?
Yeah. So first, I look at location. Then I look at bedroom size. Then I look at square foot. And currently, right now, we're looking at time since the last sale.
Right.
So as this market is changing so rapidly, we were able to filter properties out a whole year. We could go a whole 12 months out and the comps were pretty close. And if you saw a comp, you could probably sell something higher.
Right.
But now, if you're using a 90-day-old comp, that's not the same as a 30-day-old comp right now.
No.
So it's really, really tightened up. So I'm at 4 now. And then maybe bathrooms, but
well, what there is one thing is if you have to go outside of those 90 days, this might be for another video, but if I trying to comp a property in a certain area and there's no comps in the 90 days, I might bump it out to 6 months. And depending on when these houses sold, if it was 4 or 5 months, there's the numbers that we do to get our ARV change a little bit, and I'll mention that in another video. But it changes, so you can still get comps 6 months out. It's just make sure that you factor in these numbers when you're running your numbers to figure out the ARV. If it's 6 months out, do a little bit different math.
I mean, ideally you get into markets that are having sales happen every week, but that's a little harder now. I mean, Charleston is actually pretty small. I mean, I flew to Texas, and the MSA there had like millions. The population was in the millions. And then we're over here in Charleston with our 300,000 or so. I mean, once you combine all the counties in the area, it gets a little closer to 500,000 or so, but we're still pretty small, so you won't have as many sales in that area. But yeah, to your point, I mean, to our business model, we looked at if we don't have any comps that are right in the 30, 60, 90 day mark, and we have to pull something from way back in the trenches, we mark the property down. We have to say it's not worth what those comps are sold for. I mean, we'll get as granular as to say a multiplier of 0.9, 0.97, whatever it is, based on how many days out it is. But that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. So yeah, that's just kind of a little introduction crash course to comping single family residential in your local area. We do some land deals too.
But land comping is a whole nother ball game from comping single family residential. I would say it's
totally different. Totally different land, and then don't even get into commercial. I mean, commercial at that point is tough. It's just totally different animals. So I think there's a lot to be said about those commercial brokers.
We gotta make another video about commercial comping and land comping. Right now, the single family comping is what we were talking about now, because like you said, it is a whole nother ball game, so to speak, when you're trying to comp land and commercial properties.
Well, I think that's pretty good. So if you guys, comment below, we'll answer your questions about some things we said. You probably have some questions about some specific topics. Maybe you guys have some stuff to point out. I was watching somebody else's content, and they've been in the game for a long time, and they were listing off reason, like they were talking about tenants, and they were like, what are 6 things to look at for 6 red flags for tenants? And one of them, he said, really hit with me, because it was not one that I would have ever thought. Everybody thinks credit score, but one of them was just such a curveball, and when he said it, I was like, I've seen that with every one of my tenants. It was a perfect red flag, and I'll remake the same video. I'll tag them in it, but it's good. Cool. So answer our stuff. We'll put these out Wednesdays and Fridays. So whatever questions you guys have today, we'll go ahead and answer them on Friday. And
make sure you follow and like the page on Instagram, and also follow us on our website, Carolina Quality Buyers. You can type that into Google, and it'll pop up, and then type in the same thing, and it'll get you to our Facebook page. And we're working on getting a TikTok. And who knows what else is in store. So we'll see y'all soon.
Y'all have a good one.